By embracing adversity and accepting that challenges are a natural part of life, I have been able to build a stronger, more resilient mindset. This mindset has helped me navigate life's ups and downs with a sense of purpose and determination. And through it all, I've learned that the greatest growth comes not from avoiding difficulties, but from confronting them and using them to propel myself forward. In the end, it's not the absence of adversity that leads to a fulfilling life. It's our ability to face it with courage, wisdom, and grace. The Stoics understood this, and by applying their teachings, I've been able to transform my life in ways I never imagined possible. So, the next time you face a challenge, remember this: adversity is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. It is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. By changing the way you view difficulties, you can turn every obstacle into a stepping stone toward a better future. I began to approach every challenge with a mindset of curiosity and openness, rather than fear or avoidance. Instead of worrying about what could go wrong, I focused on what I could do to make the best of the situation. Even when things didn't work out, I knew that I could take something valuable from the experience. Each difficulty became a stepping stone toward a better version of myself. I remember a time when I faced a personal challenge that shook me to my core. It was a deeply emotional experience, and I felt as though everything was falling apart. But instead of letting that emotion dictate my actions, I turned to the Stoic practice of mindfulness and reflection. I asked myself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become stronger? It wasn't easy, and there were moments when I wanted to give in to frustration and self-pity. But by applying the Stoic principle of seeing challenges as opportunities, I was able to navigate through that difficult time with greater resilience and clarity. The pain and difficulty didn't magically disappear, but my ability to handle it with grace and composure improved. Embracing adversity has not only helped me become more resilient, but has also taught me to appreciate the good times more. When life is smooth and easy, I now recognize the value of those moments more deeply, and when challenges arise, I no longer fear them. I know that they are a part of the journey, and that each difficulty has the potential to help me grow and evolve. This principle of embracing adversity has been a game changer in my life. It has allowed me to face obstacles with strength, to view failure as an opportunity for growth, and to find meaning in every challenge. I no longer see hardship as something to avoid or resist, but as an essential part of the process of becoming the best version of myself. Those moments challenge us to step up, to be creative, to adapt, and to push beyond our perceived limits. Instead of retreating in the face of hardship, I learned to lean into it. Over time, I found that this shift in perspective was incredibly liberating. I stopped fearing failure, and I started seeing it as a necessary part of success. I realized that the most successful people in the world didn't achieve their goals without encountering setbacks. They encountered them and overcame them. Failure became a part of the process, not an endpoint. Every setback, every failure, and every challenge became an opportunity to improve, to refine my approach, and to become stronger. This mindset shift didn't just apply to my professional life. It affected every area of my life. Whether I faced challenges in my personal relationships, health, or finances, I began to see them as opportunities for growth. When things didn't go as planned, I didn't spiral into despair. Instead, I asked myself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I improve moving forward? Embracing adversity has allowed me to develop resilience in ways I never thought possible. The Stoics believed that true strength lies not in avoiding hardship, but in meeting it head-on with courage and determination. They understood that life is full of challenges, and that the key to living a fulfilled and meaningful life is to face those challenges with grace and equanimity. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The obstacle is the way." One of the most profound aspects of this principle is that it teaches us to accept the things we cannot control. We cannot always predict the future, nor can we control the actions of others or the course of events. But what we can control is our response to those events. By embracing adversity and choosing to learn from it, we empower ourselves to shape our lives, regardless of the external circumstances. I struggled with this idea at first. How could setbacks, which seemed so destructive and discouraging, actually lead to growth? How could failure be an opportunity? It wasn't until I began applying this principle that I truly understood its power. The first time I realized the truth in this was during a significant setback in my professional life. I was working on a major project that I had put countless hours into. I had invested so much energy, planning, and effort into ensuring its success. But despite all my hard work, things didn't go as planned. The project failed. My heart sank, and my mind went into overdrive, telling me I had wasted my time, that I wasn't good enough, and that I should have done better. But as I reflected more deeply, I realized I had a choice. I could choose to wallow in disappointment and feel like a failure, or I could choose to look at this setback differently. I remembered the Stoic idea of amor fati, or the love of fate. Instead of rejecting the failure, I could accept it, learn from it, and move forward. That's when I realized that this failure was an opportunity, not a reflection of my worth or abilities, but a chance to refine my skills, my approach, and my mindset. So, I took a step back, and instead of letting the failure define me, I asked myself, what can I learn from this experience? What can I do better next time? I examined the project carefully. I sought feedback from others, analyzing where things went wrong. I identified areas where I could improve my strategy, communication, and execution. This process of self-reflection helped me grow in ways I hadn't expected. And that's the beauty of adversity. It forces us to confront our limitations, to acknowledge where we need to improve, and to learn the lessons we might otherwise overlook. It's easy to coast through life when everything is going well. I realized that I could put in my best effort, but the outcome was never truly up to me. There were so many factors outside of my control, other people's actions, timing, luck. So why should I tie my happiness to them? As I began to practice detachment from outcomes, I noticed a shift in my mindset. I became less stressed, less anxious, and more at peace with myself. I was free to enjoy the journey, rather than constantly chasing after an elusive destination. The pressure to perform at a certain level or achieve specific goals lessened, and I found that I was able to perform better as a result. This principle of detaching from outcomes has given me peace of mind and allowed me to focus on what truly matters, living with integrity, putting in the work, and accepting that the result is not always within my control. The joy is in the process, and I've come to embrace that. It's not about waiting for success to come knocking on my door. It's about showing up every day, doing my best, and finding fulfillment in the effort itself. The seventh principle that profoundly changed my life is learning to embrace adversity and seeing challenges as opportunities for growth. For much of my life, I ran away from difficulties. I believed that a good life was a life without obstacles. If things were smooth and easy, I thought, everything would fall into place, and I could be happy. This mindset kept me stuck in a comfort zone, where I would avoid anything that caused discomfort or disruption. However, my perspective began to shift when I started studying Stoic philosophy. The Stoics taught a radical idea that challenges, setbacks, and adversity were not things to fear or avoid, but things to embrace. They believed that these hardships were essential to personal growth and the development of resilience. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Gratitude became a lens through which I viewed the world, and through that lens, everything started to look different. The more I practiced gratitude, the more I realized that true happiness isn't about having more or achieving more. It's about recognizing and appreciating what you already have. This simple shift in mindset has brought me more peace and joy than I could have ever imagined. And all it took was a commitment to seeing the good in my life, every single day. The sixth principle that transformed my life in a single day was adopting the idea of detaching from external outcomes. For so long, I defined my success and happiness by things that were beyond my control, whether it was the approval of others, the outcome of a project, or the circumstances surrounding my life. I was caught in a cycle of striving for things that I thought would make me happy, only to find that when I achieved them, I was still left feeling unfulfilled. The Stoics, however, had a very different approach. They taught that we should focus on the effort we put into something, rather than obsessing over the results. It was a difficult concept for me to grasp at first. I always believed that my happiness was dependent on achieving a certain goal or receiving validation from others. But when I started to internalize this Stoic principle, everything changed. I began to shift my mindset from being outcome-oriented to being process-oriented. Instead of focusing on whether my work would be recognized or whether I would achieve a specific result, I began to focus on doing the best I could in each moment, regardless of the outcome. I started to let go of the need for approval and stopped measuring my worth by external success. This principle gave me a sense of freedom. I no longer felt trapped by expectations or afraid of failure. I was able to fully immerse myself in the present task, enjoying the process without worrying about what might happen next. That day, I realized that the key to happiness isn't about chasing the future or escaping the past. It's about fully embracing the present moment with all its richness and potential. The fifth principle that transformed my life is the idea of practicing gratitude every single day. Before embracing this, I often took things for granted, focusing on what I lacked or what I didn't have, instead of appreciating what I already possessed. This mindset led to constant dissatisfaction and unhappiness. But when I started to practice gratitude, my entire perspective shifted. I began each day by listing 3 things I was grateful for. It wasn't about making huge, grand lists. It was about focusing on the simple things: the breath in my lungs, the roof over my head, the people I loved, or even the small victories of the day before. What I realized was that when you actively search for things to be thankful for, you start to see opportunities and blessings everywhere. Gratitude isn't just about the big, obvious things in life. It's about finding value in the small moments and appreciating what's right in front of you. This practice became especially powerful during challenging times. Instead of getting lost in frustration or stress, I started to focus on the lessons I could learn from difficult situations. For instance, instead of complaining about a tough day at work, I would remind myself that the experience was helping me grow, teaching me resilience, or pushing me closer to my goals. The Stoics were masters of this, seeing the value in every experience, whether it was pleasant or painful. By shifting my focus from scarcity to abundance, I began to notice how much I had to be thankful for. This mindset didn't just make me feel better in the moment, it transformed my entire approach to life. I began to approach every day with a deeper sense of fulfillment and contentment. The fourth principle that transformed my life in one day is practicing mindfulness and living in the present moment. We live in a world that constantly pulls our attention in a million directions. Whether it's worrying about the past or stressing about the future, we often forget to be fully present in the here and now. But the Stoics taught me that the present moment is all we truly have. Everything else, the past and future, is beyond our control. Before adopting this principle, I spent so much time ruminating on past mistakes or worrying about what could go wrong in the future. I would find myself trapped in cycles of regret or anxiety, which made it hard to focus on what was right in front of me. I was constantly distracted, unable to appreciate the moment or make the most of my time. But when I realized that all I had control over was the present, everything changed. I started to practice mindfulness, paying attention to what I was doing, saying, and thinking. I focused on my breath, my surroundings, and the task at hand, letting go of distractions and judgments. Whenever I found my mind drifting toward past regrets or future anxieties, I gently brought it back to the present. This shift was incredibly powerful. By embracing the present moment, I felt more grounded, more connected to myself and the world around me. I began to appreciate simple things that I had taken for granted, like the sound of birds outside my window, the taste of my morning coffee, or the feeling of a good conversation. It wasn't about ignoring challenges or dismissing important tasks. It was about being fully present with whatever I was doing, no matter how big or small. When I started practicing this consistently, I found that my stress levels decreased, my productivity increased, and I felt more peaceful overall. The Stoic philosophy, it's a commitment to living fully and deliberately, because every second is a chance to create something meaningful. The third principle that transformed my life was embracing discomfort and challenges. This one may sound counterintuitive at first. Why would anyone actively seek discomfort? But the Stoics understood something incredibly powerful. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. If you want to become stronger, wiser, or more resilient, you have to face discomfort head-on. Challenges are not obstacles to avoid, they're opportunities for growth. I had always tried to avoid discomfort. I would shy away from difficult conversations, avoid risky decisions, and stay within what felt familiar. But one day, I realized that every time I chose comfort, I was also choosing stagnation. I was limiting my potential without even realizing it. So, I decided to make a conscious shift. I began to look for situations that pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and I started to lean into them. Whether it was taking on a new challenge at work, confronting a personal fear, or simply doing something I didn't feel ready for, I chose discomfort. The results were immediate. Every time I embraced a challenge, I grew. Every difficult situation became a lesson. The more I faced discomfort, the more I realized that it wasn't as scary as I had imagined. In fact, it was empowering. It helped me build mental toughness and resilience. I learned that the discomfort was temporary, but the strength I gained from pushing through it lasted. By the end of the day, I felt a sense of accomplishment I hadn't experienced in a long time. I had faced fears and challenges head-on, and instead of avoiding them, I came out stronger. The Stoic mindset had given me a new perspective. Challenges are not things to be feared, but opportunities to transform. And now, whenever I encounter... And let me tell you, that shift in focus felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. It's liberating to know that you don't have to fix everything. You just have to do your part. By letting go of what you can't control, you gain the freedom to excel in the areas that truly matter. That's where real transformation begins. The second principle that transformed my life in a single day is realizing that time is my most precious asset. Time is the one resource we can never get back. Every moment that slips by is gone forever, and yet so often we treat time like it's infinite. We procrastinate, waste hours on distractions, and let opportunities pass us by. But the Stoics were crystal clear about this. Time is life itself. If you're wasting time, you're wasting your life. When I internalized this, everything changed. I started looking at how I spent my time differently. I asked myself tough questions. How much time am I losing to mindless scrolling, to overthinking decisions, to things that don't add value to my goals or my happiness? The answers were shocking. I realized that even small, seemingly insignificant choices throughout my day were adding up to massive losses over time. That morning, I decided to reclaim control. I wrote down the most important things I wanted to accomplish and focused all my energy on those. No more distractions, no more excuses. Every task became a deliberate choice. Instead of letting my day control me, I controlled my day. I turned off notifications, set clear priorities, and started saying no to things that didn't align with my goals. This wasn't just about productivity, it was about purpose. When you start valuing time, you stop giving it away to things that don't matter. You become more present, more intentional. Every moment becomes an opportunity to move closer to the life you want. That day, I realized, imagine waking up tomorrow with a mindset so powerful that no matter what challenges or setbacks you face, you embrace them, learn from them, and use them to become stronger. What if I told you that in just one day, you could start living by principles that have transformed the lives of history's greatest leaders? Stay with me till the end, and I'll reveal the 7 Stoic principles that not only changed my life, but will change yours too, forever. The first principle that transformed my life in just one day is focusing only on what I can control. Think about it. How often do we stress about things that are completely beyond our influence? Whether it's someone else's opinion, unexpected setbacks, or even the weather, we waste so much energy on things we can't change. That's energy that could be spent improving ourselves or addressing what we actually can affect. The Stoics taught that freedom comes from recognizing this dichotomy. It's not about giving up or being passive. It's about directing your power where it will actually make a difference. For me, this was a game changer. I used to get caught up in overthinking situations that hadn't even happened yet, or trying to manage how others perceived me. But when I started focusing on my own actions and mindset instead, everything shifted. It's like flipping a switch. The pressure of controlling things outside of myself disappeared, and I could finally focus on doing my best in the areas that mattered. For example, instead of worrying about whether someone would like my ideas, I put all my energy into refining those ideas. Instead of stressing about outcomes I couldn't control, I committed to doing the work as well as I possibly could. In just one day, this mindset gave me so much clarity. I wasn't bogged down by anxiety or drained by unnecessary worry. I realized that my responsibility isn't to control everything. It's to control myself, my reactions, my efforts,